Stand down and surrender the asset.
You are not taking her back to that cage.
I am never going back.
Every year, thousands of people believe humans are the weakest species in the universe. But what if that belief is completely wrong? What if one ordinary man, bleeding on a cold street, was about to prove that humanity is the most feared force in the galaxy? This is the story of a man who took 7 bullets to protect a stranger. He did not know she was royalty. He did not know she was an alien. He only knew she needed help. But the truth behind what happened next will shock you. By the end of this video, you will discover 3 things nobody talks about. First, why an entire alien empire secretly fears humans more than any weapon in the galaxy. Second, why this dying man was chosen by fate to change history forever. Third, the real reason an empire knelt outside his door, begging for his forgiveness. This is not just a rescue story. This is the beginning of an empire's awakening. Let me show you exactly how this happened. Rain fell hard on the streets of Sector 9. It was late at night, and the city lights flickered through the fog. Cars rushed past, splashing water onto the sidewalks. Nobody noticed the man walking alone near the old market. His name was Daniel. He was tired. He worked long hours at the docks, loading heavy crates onto ships. He had no family left. His parents had died years ago. His only friend was his old dog, who waited for him at home. Daniel turned into a narrow alley to take a shortcut. He wanted to get home fast. The rain was getting heavier. He pulled his jacket tighter around his shoulders. That is when he heard it. A soft cry. A girl's voice, shaking with fear. He stopped walking. He listened again. The sound came from behind a stack of broken crates. Daniel moved closer, his heart beating fast. He saw a young girl crouched in the shadows. She was shaking. Her skin had a strange soft blue glow, almost like moonlight. Her hair was silver white, wet from the rain. Her eyes were wide with terror. Daniel had never seen anyone like her before, but he did not have time to think about that. 3 armed men stepped into the alley. They wore strange black armor with glowing red visors. Their weapons looked nothing like anything on Earth. "Move aside," one of them said. His voice sounded cold and mechanical. "She belongs to us." Daniel did not know what was happening, but he saw fear in the girl's eyes. That was enough for him. He stepped in front of her without thinking. "She's not going anywhere," he said. The armored men laughed. One of them raised his weapon. Daniel felt his whole body go stiff. He knew this was dangerous. He knew he could die. But something inside him refused to run. The girl grabbed his arm from behind. "Please," she whispered. "Don't die for me. You don't understand what I am." Daniel turned to her for a second. "I don't need to understand," he said. "I just need to know you're scared." Before she could answer, the first shot rang out. Pain exploded in Daniel's shoulder. He staggered but did not fall. He pushed the girl behind a crate and shouted for her to stay down. Another shot hit his side. Then another hit his leg. He was losing strength fast. His vision blurred. But every time one of the armored men tried to move toward the girl, Daniel blocked their path. He grabbed a metal pipe from the ground and swung it at the nearest attacker. It was not much, but it bought time. More shots came. 4, 5, 6. His body screamed in painches. Blood soaked through his jacket. He could hear the girl crying behind him. begging him to stop, begging him to run. But he could not leave her. Something about her voice made him feel like she mattered more than his own life. The seventh bullet hit his chest. Daniel fell to his knees. The world spun around him. He heard the armored men stepping closer, their boots splashing in the rain puddles. He heard the girl scream his name, though he never told her his name. Somehow, she knew it. Daniel's eyes started to close. He felt cold, colder than the rain around him. His hands were shaking. He tried to stand, but his legs would not listen. The last thing he saw was the girl kneeling beside him, her hands glowing with a strange golden light, pressed against his chest. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please, stay with me." Then everything went black. Daniel did not know how much time had passed. He felt like he was floating in warm water, weightless and calm. There was no pain anymore, no cold, no fear, just silence. Slowly, light began to creep into his vision. He opened his eyes and found himself lying on a soft white bed. The room around him looked nothing like anything he had ever seen. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. Strange symbols moved across the ceiling like living writing. The air smelled clean, almost sweet. He tried to sit up, but a gentle hand pushed him back down. "Easy," a soft voice said. "You lost a lot of blood. You need rest." Daniel turned his head and saw her. The girl from the alley. But she looked different now. She was not shaking in fear anymore. She wore a long silver robe, and her hair was neatly braided. Her blue skin shimmered gently under the strange light. She looked calm, but her eyes were full of worry. "Where am I?" Daniel asked, his voice hoarse. "You're safe," she said. "My people brought you here. You saved my life. I could not let you die." Daniel tried to remember what happened. The bullets, the paintings, the darkness. He looked down at his chest, expecting to see wounds, but there was nothing. Just smooth skin, like nothing had ever happened. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Our medicine works differently than yours," she said. "But even our best doctors were not sure you would survive. You should be dead." Daniel stared at her. "Who are you? What are you?" She hesitated for a moment. Then she looked directly into his eyes. "My name is Solari. I am not from Earth. My people call this galaxy the Vaith Expanse. My planet is called Elira. And she paused again. I am the daughter of the Empress of Elira." Daniel's mind went blank. "The Empress?" Solari nodded slowly. "I am the princess of an empire that spans over 40 worlds. And you, Daniel, saved the last surviving heir of that empire." Daniel could not believe what he was hearing. He looked around the room again, realizing now that everything he saw was more advanced than anything humans had ever built. This was not some hidden lab on Earth. This was something far bigger. "Why were those men after you?" he asked. Solari's face darkened. "There are forces within my empire who do not want me to become empress. They believe I am too weak, too soft-hearted to rule. They tried to eliminate me quietly, far from my home, where no one would suspect them. And you ran to Earth." "I ran because Earth is unknown to most of my people," she said. "They call it a primitive planet, a place beneath their notice. I thought I would be safe here." Daniel let out a tired laugh. "Guess that plan didn't work out so well." Solari smiled faintly, though sadness still lingered in her eyes. If not for you, it would have ended very differently. There was a long pause between them. Daniel studied her face, trying to understand the weight of what she had just told him. An empire. A princess. Enemies who wanted her dead. It felt like something from a story, not real life. What happens now? He asked quietly. Solari looked toward the door, where two tall figures stood guard, their armor shining like polished silver. Now, she said, my people must decide what to do with you. What do you mean? Decide what to do with me. You are the first human many of them have ever seen, she said. And you saved the Princess of Elira with nothing but your bare hands and your own body as a shield. Word has already spread across our ships. Some believe you are a hero. Others believe you are a threat. Daniel felt a chill run through him, despite the warmth of the room. And what do you believe? Solari's eyes softened. I believe you are the bravest person I have ever met. Before Daniel could respond, the door slid open. A tall woman entered, wearing golden armor, unlike anything Daniel had seen before. Her eyes were sharp, studying him carefully. Princess Solari, the woman said, bowing slightly. The council has arrived. They wish to see the human who defied death for you. Solari turned to Daniel. Worry flashed briefly across her face. Are you strong enough to walk? Daniel took a deep breath, feeling strength slowly returning to his body. I guess we're about to find out. Daniel followed Solari and the armored woman through long silver hallways. Every wall seemed to hum softly, filled with strange lights and moving symbols. People they passed stopped and stared at him, whispering quietly to each other. Daniel realized he must look strange to them too, a simple human in worn clothes, walking beside their princess. They reached a massive door that slid open silently. Inside was a large circular room. Tall figures stood around a glowing table, their expressions serious. These were the council members, leaders of different noble houses within the Illyrian Empire. As Daniel stepped inside, silence filled the room. Every eye turned toward him. An old man with silver markings on his face stepped forward. His voice was deep and commanding. So, this is the human who dared to stand against trained soldiers. Daniel said nothing. He did not know what to say. You risked your life for someone you did not know, the old man continued. You could have run. Yet you chose to fight, knowing you would likely die. She was scared, Daniel said simply. I couldn't just walk away. A murmur spread through the council. Some looked surprised. Others looked doubtful. A woman in dark blue robes stepped forward next. Simplicity is not always truth, she said coldly. Perhaps you knew who she was. Perhaps you sought to use this rescue for your own gain. Solari stepped forward quickly. He didn't know who I was, she said firmly. He saw a frightened girl and chose to protect her. That is all. The woman studied Daniel carefully. Humans are known throughout the galaxy as a young and unpredictable species. Aggressive. Territorial. Some even say dangerous. Daniel frowned. I don't know what you've heard about humans, but I'm just a dock worker. I load crates for a living. I didn't do anything special. I just couldn't watch someone get hurt. The old man's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Perhaps that is exactly what makes humans dangerous, he said quietly. Not power. Not weapons. but unwillingness to abandon the weak, even at great cost to themselves. The room fell silent again. Solari spoke up once more. If it weren't for him, the Empire would have lost its heir tonight. Enemies within our own ranks tried to erase me quietly. Daniel stopped that from happening. He deserves respect, not suspicion. The council members exchanged glances. Finally, an elder woman with golden eyes stepped forward. "The princess speaks the truth," she said. "Word of this man's bravery has already spread through the fleet. Soldiers who witnessed the security footage from the alley call him fearless. Some already whisper that he is destined for something greater." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "I'm not destined for anything. I just did what felt right." The elder woman smiled slightly. "That is precisely why many now believe you are meant for something greater." The old man raised his hand, silencing the room. "There is something else you must understand. Human," he said. "Our empire has been divided for many years. Some believe strength alone should rule. Others believe compassion should guide leadership. Your actions tonight have become a symbol in this struggle." Daniel felt a strange weight settle onto his shoulders. "A symbol? I don't understand." Solari placed a hand gently on his arm. "It means, Daniel, that whether you meant to or not, you have become part of something much bigger than yourself." Just then, the doors of the council chamber opened again. A soldier rushed in, breathing heavily. "Forgive the interruption," he said urgently. "But word has spread beyond the fleet. Citizens outside the palace have gathered. They demand to see the human who saved their princess." Daniel's stomach tightened. "Wait outside." "How many people?" The soldier hesitated. "Thousands, my lord. And more are arriving every hour." Daniel stood frozen for a moment, trying to process what he had just heard. Thousands of people, waiting to see him. Solari squeezed his arm gently. "It's all right," she said. "I'll be with you." They walked together toward a large balcony at the edge of the palace. As they approached, Daniel could hear noise growing louder outside, like the sound of ocean waves crashing against rocks. When the doors opened, he stepped out and saw an enormous crowd stretching as far as his eyes could see. Thousands of Illyrian citizens stood below, their eyes fixed on him. For a moment, no one spoke. Daniel felt his heart pounding in his chest. Then, one by one, the citizens began to kneel. First a few, then hundreds, then the entire crowd dropped to their knees, bowing their heads toward him. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. What's happening?" Solari stood beside him, her voice soft but proud. "They are honoring you, Daniel. You saved their princess when no one else could. To them, you are not just a man. You are a symbol of hope." Daniel looked out at the sea of bowed heads, feeling overwhelmed. He had never wanted attention. He had never wanted to be seen as special. He was just a man who could not stand by while someone suffered. "I don't deserve this," he whispered. Solari turned to him, her eyes gentle but firm. "Bravery is rare, Daniel. True selflessness is even rarer. You gave everything, expecting nothing in return. That is exactly why they kneel before you." As the crowd remained bowed, the old council member from earlier stepped onto the balcony beside them. His voice boomed across the crowd. "Let it be known throughout the Empire," he announced, "that this human, Daniel of Earth, has proven that courage knows no boundaries of species or planet. He risked his life without hesitation, without fear of reward. The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices rising like thunder. Daniel felt tears sting his eyes, though he tried to hold them back. He had lost everything on Earth. No family, no real home. And yet here, among strangers from another world, he had found something he never expected: belonging. Later that night, after the crowd had dispersed, Solari led Daniel to a quiet garden within the palace. The night sky above Elira sparkled with unfamiliar stars, different from anything Daniel had seen on Earth. "You saved more than just my life today," Solari said softly. "You saved the future of this empire. If those assassins had succeeded, the empire would have fallen into chaos. Rival houses would have fought for control. Millions would have suffered." Daniel sat quietly, letting her words settle. "I never wanted to be part of an empire's politics," he admitted. "I just wanted to help someone in trouble." Solari smiled gently. "Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness create the greatest changes." They sat together in silence for a while, watching the stars. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something he had almost forgotten: peace. But peace, he would soon learn, rarely lasts long in an empire built on secrets. Days passed, and Daniel slowly adjusted to life within the Illyrian palace. He learned that Solari's mother, the current empress, was gravely ill, which was why enemies within the empire had grown bold enough to attempt an assassination. They believed that with Solari gone, the path to seizing power would be clear. One evening, Solari came to Daniel with urgent news. Her expression was serious, filled with both fear and determination. "My mother wishes to see you," she said. "She wants to meet the man who saved her daughter." Daniel felt nervous, but he agreed without hesitation. They walked together to the Empress's chamber, where the elderly ruler lay resting, her one strong presence now weakened by illness. Despite her frail body, her eyes still held fierce intelligence. So the Empress said softly, studying Daniel closely, "You are the human who defied death itself for my daughter." "I just did what anyone should have done," Daniel replied humbly. The Empress smiled weakly. "That is precisely the problem. Young man, not everyone would have done what you did. Not even those born into power and duty." She turned her gaze toward Solari. "The council has already begun discussing you as a potential ally to the throne. Some even suggest a much closer bond between you and my daughter, to strengthen trust between Earth and Elira." Daniel felt his face flush. Solari looked equally surprised, though she did not deny the idea outright. The Empress continued, her voice growing weaker. "Whatever the future holds, know this. You have already changed the fate of our empire. The soldiers who once saw humans as primitive now speak of your courage with respect. Perhaps, in time, Earth and Elira could become allies rather than strangers." Daniel realized then just how much his simple act of kindness in a rainy alley had rippled outward, touching an entire civilization far beyond his imagination. Weeks later, as Daniel stood on the palace balcony once again, watching the empire he had unknowingly changed forever, Solari joined him, her hand resting gently on his. "You once told me you didn't need to understand what I was to help me," she said softly. "Now the entire empire understands what you are." Daniel turned to her, finally allowing himself a small, genuine smile. "And what's that?" Solari looked into his eyes, her voice full of warmth. Someone worth kneeling for. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The soldiers who attacked Daniel that night were not simply criminals. According to whispers spreading through the Empire's council, they were secretly hired by a rival noble house, one that had long believed compassion made a ruler weak. Daniel's survival did not just save Solari. It shattered their entire plan, exposing corruption that had hidden within the Empire for generations. What began as one man's instinct to protect a stranger became the spark that started to heal an empire divided by fear and ambition. Daniel never asked to be a hero. He never sought power or glory. Yet through simple, selfless courage, he changed the destiny of an empire spanning 40 worlds. If this opened your eyes, imagine what could happen next, when word of Daniel's bravery reaches Earth itself. Let's recap what we just witnessed. One man's selfless courage exposed hidden corruption within powerful alien empire. His sacrifice proved that humanity's greatest strength is not weapons or technology, but compassion. And in the end, an empire built on fear began learning the true meaning of honor. If this story gave you chills, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because more incredible HFY stories like this one are coming very soon. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like this video and drop a comment below. We read every single one. For even deeper stories exploring humanity's hidden strength across the galaxy, check out our next video linked right here. Now I want to hear from you. If you were in Daniel's place, standing in that rainy alley, would you have stepped forward too? Let us know in the comments below.